Eala has just arrived in Chicago, Illinois, and she's there for one reason, to sign a $30 million deal with Gatorade. $30 million. That number is loud all by itself, and it's spreading fast online. While fans are celebrating, a different crowd is feeling the heat right now. The people who kept saying Eala didn't belong at the highest level of pro tennis. For years, they pushed the same story, that she would never get there, that she was only a short-term prospect, and that she would fade before reaching the real top. Now those same voices are watching the headlines, and the change is impossible to ignore. Because Eala didn't just arrive, she's signing a $30 million agreement with one of the biggest sports brands on the planet. What makes this hit even harder is that it doesn't look like a lucky break. It looks like the start of something bigger. Gatorade does not throw $30 million around for no reason, and they also don't pick athletes casually. Their endorsement choices are tied to image, performance, and public pull, and the athletes they sign become part of what the brand stands for. That's the level this deal sits at, and it sends a clear message that Gatorade sees Eala as a serious face of the sport. Not a maybe, not a temporary headline, but a long-term name, worth backing with real money. They've watched her results, tracked her momentum, and weighed how big her audience has become across different countries, and the conclusion they reached is obvious based on this number alone. The agreement is reported to run for 2 years, and it would place Eala as Gatorade's main WTA figure during that period. That setup matters, because it shows this isn't only about one player's match results or one season of hype, it's about visibility and market reach. A lot of people keep talking only about the cash, but the business logic underneath it is what makes the move look sharp. With this deal, Gatorade isn't only buying a tennis athlete, they are buying connection to a huge audience that has been waiting for a star they can fully claim as their own. And Eala brings that in a way most players simply can't. Eala stands out because she represents something rare inside the WTA right now. She is described here as the only East Asian player competing at the very top level of women's tennis, and that kind of positioning changes everything for brand value. Every time she steps onto a court, she carries massive attention from the Philippines and from wider Southeast Asia, and that support is not quiet. Gatorade understands what that means for business, because it's not only about fans cheering, it's about real buyers, new markets, and long-term loyalty tied to a face people trust. The opportunity is sitting there, and this deal puts Gatorade right in the center of it. The sports beverage market is currently valued at $1.17 billion, and projections say it's expected to grow by more than $2 billion by the year 2034. That kind of growth attracts brands that want to lock in the right names early, because the companies that connect with the right athletes first usually gain the biggest advantage later. This is why Eala fits so perfectly into the strategy, because she links tennis to a large consumer base across Southeast Asia that companies have been trying to reach in a stronger way. Her value isn't only her tennis level, and it's the fact that she has become a name people rally around, and that kind of attention moves products, not just headlines. The impact is already visible when you look at her past campaigns, and that's why this deal looks like more than a simple endorsement. The numbers are there, the audience engagement is there, and the results from the campaigns she has taken part in are being watched closely by major companies. Gatorade has clearly seen enough proof to move fast, and that kind of fast decision usually happens only when a brand believes the payoff can be huge. The most interesting part is that the official announcement still has not been made, and yet the reaction is already intense, which tells you the moment it becomes official is going to be even bigger. According to reports, Gatorade plans to reveal everything at the BNP Paribas Open next month. That timing feels designed for maximum attention, because it's a setting built for cameras, crowd energy, and non-stop media coverage. Picture the scene: a packed tennis event, the spotlight locked in, and then the message drops that one of the sport's fastest rising stars is now leading a major global sports drink brand inside the WTA. Fans are going to explode when that happens, and the people who spent years dismissing her are already stuck trying to explain their old takes. The worst part for them is that the announcement isn't even official yet, and they're already feeling the pressure. When it finally becomes official, the backlash from doubters is going to be loud, and the reason is simple. Every person who brushed Eala aside is about to watch her step into a new level of fame and money, right in front of everyone. A lot of them did it to themselves because they made their judgment early and refused to adjust even as she kept proving them wrong. Now the spotlight is on the deal. The city is Chicago, and the number is $30 million, which leaves very little room for denial. What those critics missed from the start is that Eala wasn't chasing trophies alone. Her moves show she's been building something larger alongside her tennis, and she's been doing it carefully, step by step. While others talked and dismissed her, she kept securing partnerships that strengthened her money position and expanded her name beyond the court. The Gatorade news is huge, but it isn't the only major business move tied to her lately. And that pattern shows a clear strategy rather than random luck. The result is that her career is growing in more than one direction at the same time. Earlier this year, Eala signed a major deal with Asia, and what stood out was how she handled the terms. Instead of taking a simple cash payout like most athletes would accept, she negotiated a 2% equity stake in the company. That choice says a lot, because equity is about long-term value, not fast money, and it's the kind of decision people make when they're planning ahead. Asia is currently valued at $240 million, and that valuation is said to be up nearly 50% compared to last year alone, which means her stake already carries serious value. If NutriAsia keeps expanding, her personal wealth grows with it automatically, and that's the point of that structure. Moves like that are not typical for someone who only wants quick headlines, and that's why it keeps surprising people. So choosing equity means Eala is thinking beyond the next tournament, beyond the next paycheck, and into the kind of future that lasts. It also signals that she has people around her who understand business, or she has a sharp sense for it herself, because this is not a standard athlete contract approach. A lot of players earn big money, but fewer make choices that can keep building long after the playing career ends, and this equity decision puts her in that category. Then came the NutriFactor advertisement that blew up online just 4 months ago. That campaign didn't just do well, it became one of the most watched ads on all of YouTube, pulling in around 70 million views. 70 million views on an advertisement is a number that still sounds unreal when you stop and think about what people usually click on, because ads do not normally pull numbers like music videos or major movie trailers. Yet this one did, and it happened with Eala as the center of it, which showed brands something they can't ignore. When a single piece of branded content gets around 70 million views, companies don't call it a nice win. They call it a sign of serious influence. That kind of reach is exactly what brands spend huge budgets chasing, and most of the time, they still don't hit it. Here, the pull came from her connection with the audience and the way she shows up publicly, and that combination creates results brands love. Once those numbers started rolling in, it wasn't just one company paying attention, it became a wider industry reaction. When global brands see engagement like that, they don't sit back, they start dialing, because influence at that scale is hard to find and even harder to replicate. Nike has reportedly been watching all of this closely, and they are said to view Eala as a major future figure for tennis in the Asian market. What pushed the urgency even more is the fear of repeating an old mistake, because reports say Nike still remembers losing Coco Gauff to New Balance. That situation turned into a painful miss for Nike, because Gauff went on to become one of the most marketable athletes in the sport, and Nike watched that value grow elsewhere. The lesson stuck, and the message inside the company seems clear. They can't let the same thing happen again with Eala. Competition is also part of the pressure, because New Balance and Adidas are both reportedly showing strong interest, and that forces fast moves. When multiple major brands circle at the same time, waiting becomes risky, because the best deal can disappear overnight. Eala's momentum has been steady and loud enough that no company can pretend it's just temporary noise, and the constant attention keeps raising the value. That's why this situation is being treated like a race, not a slow negotiation. And it also explains why the rumors about the numbers keep sounding bigger and bigger. The potential Nike figures being discussed are massive. Sources mention $45 million over 3 years, along with bonuses and performance incentives that could push the total higher. The money is obviously attention-grabbing, but the bigger story may be what Nike is reportedly considering for her role inside their brand group. This is described as something beyond a basic athlete endorsement, which signals a larger level of positioning, the kind that turns an athlete
You started to smile based on something your coach had said, and you seemed to play a little bit more freely, a little bit more happy. Just kind of what led to that change of emotion? Just your thoughts on it. And what did your coach say?
Trying to recall. I think he like, I forgot, but he told me something, and then I told him, I was like, I'm trying, you know? Yeah, but I think, like I said, I think at the end of the day, I definitely could have performed better today. But yeah, all things aside, in the end of the day, I think there's still definitely a gap in terms of level between me and Coco and other players of her caliber. So yeah, I think she did great, and my job is to try and close that gap, and I think I'm doing that quite well. So I'll keep working on it, and hopefully next time will be a bit tighter. Yeah.
Hey, Eala, what are you going to improve in the next 2 months?
Next 2 months, I think I have time now for Indian Wells to kind of reassess and regroup and take a small break and build again, because I've been on the road and competing week after week after week this year. So I think physically is something I can reassess my physical state, try to build upon more injury prevention and things like that, and I think that will reflect also on the game, on my game. I think that's one of the things that can bridge the gap between myself and those top 5 players. Yeah.
On that front, Filipino fans supported you every time. What is the message for you?
into a long-term flagship. That level of talk does not happen unless a company thinks the athlete can shape the market, not just appear in a few ads. All of this ties back to one simple reality. Consistent work eventually forces the world to take notice. Eala has raised her tennis level and built a public brand that reaches beyond the sport. And the combination is what creates deals at this scale. Fans across the globe have attached themselves to her story. And that kind of connection is exactly what brands want because it creates loyalty, attention, and sales. People can argue all day online, but none of that changes what real contracts and real numbers show. For everyone who mocked her, downplayed her, or insisted she would never reach this tier, the moment is here, and it's hard to talk around it. The $30 million Gatorade deal is real. The trip to Chicago is real, and the business machine forming around Eala is real. What happens next looks even bigger, because this isn't a finish line. It's a new stage, and the loudest voices from the past are now left watching it unfold. The only thing moving faster than her rise right now is the regret hitting the people who made the mistake of betting against her from the beginning.